Hi, everybody. My name is Chloe Dent, and I'm 20 years old, and I'm currently living in Watertown. You may remember me as the pregnant one. I am 37 weeks pregnant with a girl, and it's my first baby. I'm due in about 2 weeks on October 25th. I'm really excited, but I'm also really nervous. I wanted to thank you all for taking time out of your day to listen to my speech, and I really hope that you enjoy it, and I hope that you can walk away from this learning something. In my speech, I would like to introduce you to two different listening styles, action-oriented listening and people-oriented listening. Both of these styles are unique in their own way, and you will be able to walk away from this knowing the difference between the two. Do you know what kind of listener you are? Did you know that everyone has their own unique listening style? Not everybody listens the same. And there are many different listening styles, and they each have their own strengths and weaknesses. According to Diana Romero in her book, The Business of Listening, each of us has a personal view of how the world should turn. Your personal values, upbringings, beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors combine to make up your own unique style. Action-oriented listening and people-oriented listening are both listening styles that are very unique in their own way. You may come across both of these listening styles in your day-to-day life, and it is very important for you to understand both of these terms. There are four different listening styles. There's action-oriented listening, people-oriented listening, time-oriented listening, and content-oriented listening. Each of these styles serves its own purpose, and there are many reasons why we use each of these. The two that I'm going to talk to you today about are action-oriented listening and people-oriented listening. According to our textbook, people-oriented listeners are especially concerned with creating and maintaining positive relationships. People-oriented listeners have a strong concern for other people. They care what you have to say, and they also like to get to know the story behind you. They get their energy from others, and they get meaning in their relationships. However, sometimes people-oriented listeners become too involved, and this can become overwhelming for them. I happen to be a people-oriented listener. I love getting to know people. I love talking to people. I love listening to them. This is true from my best friends to people that I barely even know. I like to nod and ask a lot of questions to show that I'm very involved with what they have to say. The other oriented listening style is action-oriented listeners, which are very much different than people-oriented listeners. They focus on the task at hand. They like to get down to business. They like to get in and get out. They don't like to mess around, and they like structure. They are more concerned with control and less concerned with the well-being of other people. As you can see, both of these listening styles has its pros and its cons. I use both of these listening styles in my day-to-day life. I use people-oriented listening when I'm at work. I used to work at Subway, which I loved working there, and I loved to get to know all the different people that came in because we always had a lot of regulars. I always liked to ask how they were doing or comment on something from a different day just to show that I was very interested in what they had to say. It always made work a lot of fun. I use oriented listening sometimes when I'm in a rush, running through my house. I don't have time to talk to my mom, and I like to just get down to the point in the conversation. It is important to know these different listening styles because it makes you a more effective listener. It's nice to know what kind of listener somebody is because if you know that they're an action-oriented listener, then you know that they just like to get to the point of what you have to say. You shouldn't waste your time talking to them because they really don't care. If you know that somebody is a people-oriented listener, then you know that you can take your time and talk to them and they actually care with what you have to say, which is really nice. Listening to my speech, I hope that it helped you understand the difference between people-oriented listening and action-oriented listening. Remember that people-oriented listeners care with what you have to say, and action-oriented listeners don't really care. They just want to get to the point. Now that you know these terms, which one is more like you? Are you more of a people-oriented listener, or are you more of an action-oriented listener, or are you both sometimes? I wanted to thank each one of you again for taking time out of your day to listen to my speech, and I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I really hope that you can walk away from this knowing the difference between the two listening styles. Thank you.